WELSTech is a bi-weekly podcast exploring the intersections of technology and ministry. It is part of the podcast network sponsored by WELS, the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod. Our show today is hosted by Martin Spriggs and Sally Draper. Welcome to WELSTech, everybody. This is episode 693, recorded on November 3rd, 2022. My name, Martin Spriggs. Show about technology and ministry and where those two intersect. Sally, I've got to come up with some kind of new intro. I'm getting tired of that one after 693 tries at it.
I was thinking you could say like, good morning,
Good morning,
WELSTech.
Right.
There you go. Because it is early morning for us, Martin, and hopefully we're just a little bit sharper and on top of our game. We're recording early. My fault. I'm on vacation tomorrow, so we need to get it all produced today. And so we started early in the day.
We'll get her done.
And it's just barely light outside because we're coming up on that famous weekend in the fall where we get 1 extra hour of sleep. So don't forget, WELSTechers.
It's one way to look at it. Yeah.
Change your clock and look forward to being dark around 3 p.m. or something.
Yeah. One way to look at it is you go, well, if you work from home, then I guess you go to work in the dark and you come home from dark anyway. But at least you don't have to drive in it. So
That's true. So we're actually driving, taking a long trek to North Dakota this weekend. Our grandson turns 1 tomorrow, so we're going on a celebration trip. Have a happy birthday party.
That's awesome.
Looking forward to it.
That's neat. Walking and all that good stuff.
Boy, he is this close. Maybe he'll be walking by the time we get there.
Yeah,
we'll see.
But he's present for you.
Totally ready. Yes, we've seen lots of videos. So
get your camera phones ready.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a show to do, so we can get you on your way. And we are taking a look at some things that hopefully will be super useful, especially to those people in our congregations and schools responsible for social media, website, design, those things that would require and should have imagery built in. And thank goodness, Sally, there are some tools that are out there that make this super simple and can really make non-professionals look professional in how they do it. So we thought we'd spend a show talking about some of these cool tools that are available now that can help you down that social media path and then take some images and texts and links, mix them all together and give you a good product. This is something you've been doing for WELSTech quite some time.
That's true. And I definitely fall in the non-professional, not great at imagery kind of category. But the tool that I specifically use for WELSTech is called Ripple. We'll demo that in a little bit, but it does make things pretty easy. I just have to kind of fill in some words and pick nice images to go with it. And it does all the templated layouts. And I have many, many to choose from. And that's what all the tools we're going to be demoing today do for you. They come up with the professionalism, the polish on it.
Yeah.
Pretty nice selections of fonts and things of that nature. Boy, when I go just to pick a font, I could spend 4 hours because there's so many and I just don't have the confidence that I'm picking good combinations of things. So it definitely helps. One
of the neatest things I like about these tools is that they know all the format sizes ahead of time. So they know what what Instagram sizes are best or what are preferred, and Facebook, and they even do TikTok and all this other stuff. They kind of done that ahead of time for you. So that part of it, that techie part of it is kind of gone. You just say, I want this one for Instagram and I want this one for Twitter, and it kind of does the sizing all by itself.
And I will say, hats off to professional designers and the investment they have in their craft. And obviously there's professional designers behind these tools. Sometimes though, you get more when you pay for it. And a lot of these tools either are free to premium, they have kind of a bridge you can cross,
Yep.
or they may even start out as a fee-based tool. And I would say it's worth it.
Yep.
Maybe you pick one or two that you want to zero in on and use for a while. It's worth the money to invest because, like you were describing, Martin, that concept of having different sizes for different social media. Um, in the free version, perhaps you can do that manually. Like, oh, I'm going to go create a Facebook cover. Oh, I'm going to go create an Instagram post, whatever. You can pick the different sizes and it has layouts. But if you pay for the premium, perhaps it'll kind of do that for you. You do a
Right.
design theme and it gives you all the layouts or whatever. So those are the kind of advantages you're going to get when you go ahead and up the ante and pay a bit more for the premium. So just kind of keep that in mind. Great to try out for free, but as you find a tool that you like and works for you, it might be worth investing, even if you just try it for 1 month at the
Sure.
premium level and see what else you get along for the ride, because oftentimes it can make your life that much easier, which is
Yeah.
kind of key.
I think another reason maybe to consider paying for it is a lot of these services allow you to save and store these things. So you
Mm-hmm.
can actually bring what you did up for Advent by Candlelight last year, or Vacation Bible School, or back to school night, or whatever it is that you did, tweak it, add a new image, change the date, whatever, and you're good to go. So you've kind of built up a library yourself that works for you, versus staring at a blank canvas every time.
Right. Another application of that is to have a theme throughout your imagery. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're producing 6 or 8 of them and you want them to kind of have a brand look to them.
Or your
I know I
logo
do
on it or
some,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I do some work for LWMS and their favorite color is purple, and LWMS,
Mm-hmm.
it's purple everything. And there's one particular template that I revisit on a regular basis, and it has that prominent purple, a great location for the logo. It's just kind of the LWMS look, and I keep surfacing it in the Facebook posts that I do for them because it gives some continuity and some
Yep.
branding to our look.
I think another thing about these tools, just before we jump into the tools, which we need to get to, is this makes it approachable for volunteers. So if you've got somebody who has time and they want to serve, and they're, maybe not a designer like we mentioned, but want to get involved in this kind of ministry, you can point them at these tools. They can get smart. There's usually tutorials, that are out
Mm-hmm.
there too. So you can see how the experts do it, so to speak, how you're supposed to do it. They can learn from that. And you don't have to learn something like Photoshop or whatever. You can use these tools, and out of the box, you can come up with something pretty cool.
Definitely. So maybe a quick rundown. I think we have about 6 tools to breeze through here this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do a quick screen share for those watching video, and we'll just list these different tools, and then we'll have some examples to show you from some of them as well. The first one that is on our list is canva.com. It's one of those free to premium tools. And you can even do team type work. So if you want multiple people to kind of share your
Collaborate.
brand,
Mm-hmm.
you can do that as well. But it's very drag and drop. It gives you the templates to work with. It does that thing of different sizes, like you were describing. So it has the Facebook size and the Pinterest size and that kind of thing built in where you can easily grab those things. And really, a huge, huge library. I would say probably one of the most extensive I've seen of different templates to use. The way they work it is some are free and some are fee. So if you like one particular template, it might have a dollar sign on it, and that might just be literally $1 to use that template. But if you're not paying for their premium access, that can add up if you use several templates a month over a year or whatever. So they make it easy to buy the things you want, but they offer a ton that is free. So really great tool and very intuitive, easy to use. I think that Jason Schmidt has mentioned it multiple times
Mm-hmm.
as being a place he even goes to produce slide decks and things like that for presentations. So very, very versatile and very professional looking designs and easy to modify.
Yeah, this, as well as another one that's going to come up later, is one tool that I point my students at who are in my web page design class for Amazing Grace Virtual Academy. as we have them build logos, but we also have them build ads that they would put, on their newly created web pages. And this tool in particular, this is kind of the granddaddy, I think, of all the ones that we're talking about, because it can do almost anything from poster design to
Mm-hmm.
social media to logo to whatever. Just a Swiss Army knife of all those things. Another thing we should mention here is that almost all these tools offer super cool search technology where you can search on a theme or a color or a format, and it will be smart enough to kind of bring you up relevant information that's going to get you started.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun experience almost
Mm-hmm.
because you just have the world at your fingertips. Next one we want to show off today is Ripple. It's one I mentioned earlier. It's what we use for our WELSTech imagery at this point. And again, tons of templates. They focus on kind of the key social media. So I think you can do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's nice because when you create the image, you can then post it to those sites from the app. You can write your post text, and it pushes it out to Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and Twitter for you. So that's really nice. It'll also save the image to your local library. Just a lot of different versatility. And here's where I can like reuse images for branding purposes. You actually can upload your logo in Ripple, and it'll place your logo on everything that you create for you. And then if you want to move it around, resize it, or even remove it, you can easily do that. But it's a nice feature to not have to always slap your logo on things as a manual separate process or whatever. So I found it very easy to use and really happy with the different layouts and things that they give you in Ripple.
So if you do any kind of following of us on the socials, you're going to see Ripple on a regular basis and on our show notes page as well. So
Mm-hmm.
Sally does an awesome job with that. That's RIPL if
Correct.
you're following along at home.
One more from me. This is just a little mobile app, and I believe it's only on iOS, but it's called WordSwag. And I don't think I've paid for this in the past. I'm pretty sure I'm using a free version, but it's just really great at text. And basically, they give you you type in your text, and then they give you a whole lot of different font layouts. And it's not just changing the font, it's making things bigger and smaller and curving things and just all kinds of effects with the fonts and things, mixtures of fonts in one, and doing line breaks and things in your text at different places. The one challenge with this is related to line breaks, and you can't control that. The software pushes the line breaks, and sometimes that makes some text larger and some text smaller, and it may not be exactly what you want to emphasize. But with each layout, you get like 5 different options brought up to you with each font combination, and then you can roll the dice and come up with new combinations with the particular font. So really great at text and even longer text that you want to overlay on images. It too includes search capabilities and lots of different image sizes that you can use. So pretty versatile, and just I would say a really great option for just overlaying text. Like if you wanted to post a daily verse image or something like that in your social media, this would be a good place to start. So it's called WordSwag. And again, I believe it's just for iOS.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I was not aware of that one. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a couple here, 3 that I want to share. One of them I can't tell you a lot about because it's brand new and it's not even available. You have to get on a wait list. It's from Microsoft Designer. And I was at a conference about a month and a half ago where they trotted this out and said, this is, watch for this. It's coming up and it's going to be super cool. One of the neat things and I jumped on the waiting list and I haven't got an opportunity to play with it, but they have some pretty good tutorials or images here or videos that walk you through what it can do. And one of the neat things that they've attached to this is artificial intelligence. So you type in kind of what you want, and they give a bunch of examples. So as you type in your kind of natural language sentence. I want so and so with this kind of background on this, with this color theme or whatever. Um, then they will pull in all the available images through artificial intelligence. They have something called DALL-E, DALL-E, and I'm not sure exactly what it stands for, but it basically goes out and figures out what would go well together. And then you have a full editor interface where you can add your own text, move things around, swap things out, those kinds of things. It looks super, super cool. And I think they are likely to do a nice job with this, knowing Microsoft. So watch for that, or get on the wait list and be one of the first ones to try it out. Next one is one that you can use right away, and this is one of the other ones that I recommend to my students. It's from Adobe. These are the image people, and it's Adobe Express. There is a website, but there's also apps that you can use, and this is just like all the others. You pick what kind of thing you want to put together, whether it's a social media post, a story, a banner, a logo, a flyer, whatever it is. You choose your template, and again, there are certain things that are locked behind a subscription, but a number of the things are free. And I think for the most part, you can do some really cool stuff with just the free version. But again, one of their powerful features, and they brought some of the strength from Photoshop and those kinds of things into this tool, is the editor. You can do lots of things as far as changing, resizing, pulling text in, playing with the typography, saving all your imagery, very much like what you were describing, Sally, with Ripple. But it's it's a Canva competitor as well, so it's actually a very strong tool that you could use if this is something that you do certainly on a regular basis. That's Adobe Express. The last one is a little bit different kind of tool. It is from the people at Buffer. We've talked about Buffer a couple years ago. Buffer is in that same category as Hootsuite, where they schedule social media posts. And they've come up with a free tool called Remix. And the reason that it's different is what you have to do with Remix, and it's on your phone. It's an iOS or Android app. You need to give it a link. So you're creating your content online. So it's always an online starting point. So you're creating a blog post, a web page, something. And it takes that link and then wraps it around or layers on top of it image and text. So you can play with what image that is, what color the text is, what kind of background or photo, and then out pops basically a shareable image and clickable. And they play mostly with Instagram, but I know they've got some other social medias connected, and Buffer, handles them all. So basically the difference here is you're going to point this at an existing piece of online content, and it does the rest. One of the nice things it does is it looks at what you're pointing it at and says, hey, you've got a bunch of images on here. Do you want to use one of these in the design? So if you've got a header image or something on your blog post, it's going to pick that up and bring that in. So you've got some consistency in what you're sharing. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want, but it's kind of one fell swoop, but you do have to create the content on the front end.
Which is pretty much what social media is about, is getting people to look at you and your content that you're creating. So I could see even using this for sermon posts and things where it's pulling out a bit of a quote and making a nice image for it. And you don't have to do much of anything but give it a link. It seems pretty simple.
Yep. So very good.
All right. So those are the tools. Martin and I challenged ourselves to use the tools and come up with some sample imagery to share with you guys. So we'll have a link in our show notes to a Google photo album where we have images around Advent by candlelight. That's kind of what we picked. Let's make some sample images for Advent by candlelight. The first one in the gallery is actually from Canva, and it's one that I just modified, they kind of had a pretty image with a candle and it said Silent Night, Holy Night. And I just moved that up a little bit and put in some details for like a save the date post. Mark your calendars, Sunday, December 4th, 4 to 6 p.m. At our church, blah, blah, blah. And then I had a nice image that would be easy to share on social media and at least raise awareness that this event is coming up. So that was Canva that I used for that, and then made some modifications to fit the scenario that I was looking for. Next one, I think,
Nice.
Martin, you made this one.
Yeah, this is from the Remix tool, and so it was actually very simple. You can put whatever text and link. The link goes to whatever text or content you're pointing at. You can change the style background of the text, but then that image that Sally is showing for those of you viewing the podcast is actually from the website that it's pointing at. So I was just pointing at an Advent by Candlelight post by our Wells Women's Ministry team. And so I had a selection of maybe 4 or 5 images, and this one was appropriate. And you can take this image, and then if you're within the app, then you just share that to whatever you've connected, whatever socials you've connected to, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So
it's pretty nice that it just finds the image for you from the post, where you've probably sweated a little to get nice imagery on your blog post. You may as well make use of it.
Right.
This example is actually from Ripple. And I don't know if you've noticed, if you're watching, you can make square, you can make long, like phone screen sized. This one's actually a wide post, which is kind of nice sometimes to go along with social media, to have something a little bit different and not quite as tall as a square would be. And another save the date concept. One thing about this is when I needed an image to go along with it, I just did searching right in Ripple, and it gives you access, I want to say, to Unsplash images.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular one for this
and
kind of thing.
I put in Christmas and candle, and I got a nice picture of a table setting with a candle on it that was very appropriate for my Advent by Candlelight post. And so I am always pleased with the imagery that I can just very easily have at my fingertips within the app.
Very nice. Did a nice job. Next one was mine, and this was from Adobe Express. Again, you pick the format. I forget which format this was, but you did a search for candles, in their tool. And I think, again, I think it uses its own. I think Adobe has its own set of Creative Commons content that you can throw in there. And then it has a little space with some pre-formatted text at the bottom that you can change if you want, resize, reposition, that kind of stuff, and keep it as simple or as complicated as you want. And they've kind of done the color matching for you too, so they know what kind of text might go with the background you've chosen or the border, those kinds of things. So
you know what, Martin, I'm going to circle back to my Ripple post because you mentioned color matching. And one thing about this Ripple post was I was doing it on my WELSTech account. So it came up with the WELSTech logo. I mentioned that it just puts the logo on there automatically. And it made all the supporting colors orange,
yeah.
to match our WELSTech logo. And so I got rid of the logo and still had the orange text and border and things showing, but it has a very nice quick feature where you can actually pick a color from the image with a little eyedropper tool. Doesn't take rocket science to hover over the red candle and pick up that color, and then my image all matched nicely. And so the tools make it super easy and intuitive to do that kind of thing, to tweak. And I love your font choices. I'm guessing Adobe made those for you, but again, an example where I would take all day to pick those fonts and make it look nice and balanced and matchy
friendly,
and stuff.
Professional look. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This last one, again, was from me, and it's from the Word Swag. And this actually has 2 different pieces of Word Swag on it. I did the invitation in one Word font layout, and then I did the date and time in a different one just to make them offset each other. And I really love the effect of it. They have, full images. They have different frames of images. This one actually has a white space along the bottom with kind of a torn edge to it. And it just
Mhm.
framed up really nicely with the stock photography I found when I searched through there, searching for Christmas and candlelight, and turned into something really pretty. An example again of a tall image that would fit nicely on a phone screen. So those are just a few examples. We'd love to see your examples and hear about your favorite tools if you were into creating social media posts.
Nice. Good job, Sally. I really liked yours.
Thank you.
One of the things about this is it's all about, many times it's all about the imagery. And we're going to put together a little list for you. I think we've done this in the past too, of places where you can find, a good collection of images that are appropriate to your particular situation. Not all photo libraries are created equal, but there are some main ones out there. We mentioned Unsplash as one that I see quite a bit, and they've got all kinds of categories and ways to filter and search those. What are some other ones, Sally, that you often use or have come across?
Well, they're stuck in my brain. I type unsplash.com, I type pixabay.com. Sometimes I see the same images pop up in the mix, but oftentimes different imageries, even if I'm searching the exact same terms and stuff. One more that's right at my fingertips is Pexel. Again, just a wide variety of images available on these sites, easy to search. I've created free accounts on all three sites that allow me to download, and sometimes they require you to be signed in to download. Sometimes they don't. Oftentimes they'll give you some text that you can use along with the image. So if I share an image from one of these sites, for instance, on WELSTech, I'll caption it with, a link to the image. What do you call someone who take photographer? Uh, not in my brain. To the photographer's page on that website or whatever, so you can give them due credit for the great imagery that they're sharing for free. A few others worth mentioning. Creation Swap is one that's specifically related to Christians and church type graphics, and it says it's free, and some things are free, but some are paid for as well. They're kind of mixed in. But something that's 100% free from our friend Philip Wells is the Lutheran Stock Photos site. He actually incorporated all our WELSTech imagery from a past photo challenge into this site as well. And everything here is free for download. So really well done. And again, easy to search and very focused on church imagery here. And then one more, Martin, that you probably need to explain. It's a site called Placeit.
Yeah, this was one of my picks of the week, probably a couple years back, and this has images, but it also has video too. And if you've ever seen the video version of WELSTech, this is where I got the intro graphic for that and the animation. So if you need kind of bumpers or things that you want playing in the video monitor in the church narthex, or during the service or whatever, this might be a good place to find some of those things. So it's got all kinds of tools, and it's got an editor, of course. You can make logos. You can kind of make it all match. That's Placeit by Envato. Envato is a web design firm, so to speak. They actually created the current Wells.net theme, which is in Fold. They do that kind of stuff too. So pretty cool place.
Good pick.
And they have a subscription model. Some of the stuff is free, but most of the stuff is pay per use. So you find a video or an animation that you like, and then you pay, whatever it is. Usually not a lot.
Maybe to wrap up our conversation, Martin, we will point you to an article we found, 10 best tips for social media photos. And just, talking about branding and styling, captioning, things like that. It has great examples throughout the article. So a quick read just to skim through even the 10 tips and have it kind of in your brain as you begin to tackle the job of social media photos. Or maybe it's not your starting, but you need to be refreshed. And this might give you some new ideas and things. So check out the article that we'll have on our show notes website, wellstech.wels.net.
Good stuff. I really enjoyed this theme, Sally. I think this is super practical, and every organization thinks about this, and maybe some super struggle with it. And this is a good way to kind of make that a little bit more enjoyable process.
I agree. I have to do a shout out real quick to a good friend of mine, Carissa Nelson. She's actually our pastor's wife here at St. Paul's in North Mankato. And she's one of those talented people who has invested the time and is truly gifted at graphic design. So if you're looking for someone to help in that regard, she has a website, carissanelson.com. And you can see her great imagery, very church focused, of course, and really talented. So if you're blessed with that kind of person in your congregation, definitely make use of them.
Yeah.
If you're struggling and not blessed, then these tools can help you, and just experiment with them a little, maybe pay for them for a little while and see what kind of results you can get.
Very good. Sally, I think we should move on. Next segment in our show is something we call ministry resources, where we try and pick something that has immediate ministry application that you can take a hold of and use or implement in your either professional or personal ministries. What do we have in the category this week, Sally?
Well, this comes to us from our WELS Congregational Services group, which is doing some amazing work in support of all different areas in the congregation. And they have one page on their site dedicated to Bible studies. So if you're looking for a Bible study resource, they have a bunch of them out here, everything from prison ministry awareness to marriage to a God-lived life. And lots of resources around each of these. If you're diving into a stewardship program, for instance, 10 for 10 stewardship program, or to the ends of the earth related to videos that have been produced in the past. So a good selection of Bible study resources out here. And then when you click in, you're going to get access to a full download library. Some of them have videos to go along with. It varies by Bible story. Why can't I say that? Bible study. But you're going to find all kinds of resources that you can make use of immediately in your congregation and small group Bible study settings. So check it out.
Nice. All right, Sally, we're to the point in our show where we get to give our picks of the week. Just something that has crossed our desk, is on our phone, favorite in our browser, an article, whatever, that we felt was worthy to share with our good WELSTech listeners. What do you got this week?
And I will dive in with a link to a Gartner report, kind of a white paper thing that was released recently. The 2023 top 10 strategic technology trends. A little bit wordy. You have to give them your email address in order to get access to it, but they definitely have resources to share with you, and they are free. I actually stumbled upon this through an article on Tech Republic, which was kind of summarizing. So if you don't want to give them your email address, maybe just read this article and get an overview. Why do we care about trends in technology and what's going to happen in the future? Well, this is the world we live in, a digital world, a very plugged in world, and this is the world we're trying to minister to. So looking ahead and being a little bit forward thinking, at least having an eye towards things that are going to happen in the future with technology, is definitely a good idea as a minister of the gospel. And so they talk about different things like sustainability, the metaverse, where we're talking about all this virtual and 3D technology and sharing spaces and things like that. They mentioned super apps, places where it kind of pulls together a lot of things into one place, like Microsoft Teams or Slack, that those are going to just really dominate within the next 5 years or so, these super app things. And then there's several mentions kind of throughout about artificial intelligence. You mentioned it as you were describing the remix and the Adobe capabilities,
Microsoft
where
Designer too.
that's
Yeah.
right, Microsoft
Hmm.
Designer, where it senses what you're looking for, or is smart for you. I've been training Alexa to turn my lights on and off in my new house, but Alexa's learning along with that things that are important to me, and kind of storing up that knowledge so that she can anticipate my needs and things like that. And that's what the future is going to be. Like our personal assistants are going to be like Radar O'Reilly on the old MASH episodes, knowing in advance what we need and things like that. And I think there's good and bad with that. One of the points is risk related to artificial intelligence, and how that's going to play more of a role in our future and things. So again, probably not the most exciting topic or list that maybe doesn't necessarily relate to what we're doing here in terms of gospel ministry, but yet this is the world and the future world that we're going to be living in. So it's good to spend a little time thinking about that.
Yeah,
That's
and
my pick of the
especially if,
week.
yeah, great. And especially if you are in charge of technology at your church or school or family, there are things that you do need to be aware of. I would say you definitely want to keep on top of security trends. Yeah, technology is hopefully making our lives better. And you want to figure out what that means for your particular situation to take advantage of that. So things like this. That's what Gartner pays attention to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to my pick of the week. Mine is a hardware pick. It is the IPVO, and I'm not sure how to actually pronounce that, but it is basically a document camera. Um, this is something that my wife purchased for her work in the classroom. She uses a document camera all the time. And her situation is she does not have a lot of room. And some of these document cameras, are pretty large. They have a large bed and a big light and whatever. She wanted something a little bit smaller that would be simple to use. You just plug into your computer, and it basically hovers over the surface where you put your document down, and then people can see what you're doing. Whether that's she uses it for art. She teaches art where she's at. So she demonstrates a technique on a piece of paper with a brush or a pen or a pencil or something like that. Plugs this document camera in. This one happens to be 4K, has a light built in. It has zoom capabilities, all of which are important in a document camera. But one of the nicer things about this is this folds up into a very small package. So you could take it from room to room, where she has to do that sometimes. And it's very easy and portable to do it that way. It's got a metal base, and actually the arm is metal too. If you look this up, if you're not watching it at home, it's basically like a an L arm, which can expand and contract, goes up and down, and has a little cable running up the back of it that gets plugged in, a USB cable that gets plugged in, and very simple. I think she had to install some software for it, but it was free software, so it comes with it. And we did a little bit of research for different tools, and there are some really cheap solutions out there that don't work super well. This one, you pay a little bit more. It's $150, but that's not as much as you would pay for a full on. I think Elmo is probably the one that a lot of teachers use, and that's in the $300 to $400 range. So
Wow.
this is a lot cheaper solution and very portable. So she likes it a lot. So I thought I'd pass that along for those of you that look for document camera. She even hooks it up to her, or can hook it up to her smart board, or they have these interactive panels there, and can show it on the big screen and then annotate on top of it. And she does all kinds of stuff like that. So invaluable tool for her. So that's the IPVO document camera.
I would love to take Mrs. Spriggs' art class. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, she enjoys it. So,
Good stuff.
all
Thank
right,
you.
let's move on to community news and feedback.
And we just want to do our shout out to our friends over in Wells Congregational Services. Second shout out of the show. They are putting together an amazing conference happening January 16th through 18th in Chicago. It's the Wells National Conference on Lutheran Leadership. And you may have heard that the deadline was approaching for early bird registration to end. That was October 31st, and you could save $50 off your registration for the conference. But they are so awesome. They've extended that deadline, and we have great news to share that it goes now through Thanksgiving. So if you haven't signed up yet, there's still time to get in on that special pricing. I believe it's $249 for the full conference, and that's a bargain for, I want to say, almost 50 different speakers at this conference. It's just loaded with so much. And so definitely check out the website. It's lutheranleadership.com and get your registrations in. I know many would think this is something for the pastors to attend, but that is just not true. There's something for everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
And we are all part of the mission of our church. And this is a great way to equip all different roles in our ministry with lots of great resources and ideas for that work.
Yep. It is being held at the Hilton in Chicago, Illinois, right there near the Lake Michigan.
Oh, nice.
So, well, Lake Michigan in January is probably pretty from afar, but I will be there. So, and
Awesome.
I was not able to attend the last one, which was, I think, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and rave reviews from that and all kinds of content and programs that came out of that one. So, hopefully this one is equal or better to that. So, take advantage of it. It's actually a very good price for what you get. So, mark calendars and get on that website. All right, Sally, we're going to do this again in a couple of weeks. What are we going to do?
Well, we're going to circle back to one of our favorite topics, and that's education technology. We always have some great discussions with our semi-regular classroom technology correspondents joining us. And this season, we're actually focusing on the Incredibles. We have a little theme going, the Incredibles of Ed Tech, and we're going to be talking about Elastigirl and some of the tools that are flexible and do all kinds of things in terms of education technology. So, lots to look forward to, always a fun discussion, and Incredibles on the mix. So what could go wrong?
Nice. I missed the last one, so I'm really looking forward to getting involved with our series on the Incredibles. Cool.
We're gonna all have capes, so tune in.
Oh dear. Maybe I won't be there. All right. If you want to get involved with the show, go to wellstech.wells.net. That's where all the stuff is. Everything that we talk about is linked there, as well as ways to get in touch with us via the social medias. You can send us a voicemail. You can leave a comment on any of the shows. It's a great way to get in touch with us. And if you're willing, we'll share that on the show. And if you've got a comment, a question, a suggestion, those are all very, very welcome. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.